Hi, I'm Jazz Obrecht, and welcome to my Talking Guitar podcast with Warren DeMartini. The interview you're about to hear was originally done for Warren's April 1987 Guitar Player magazine cover story. As you'll hear, Warren was psyched about doing it. He's super articulate and insightful, and a lot of the conversation is like a master class in how to craft solos, sound great on record, do your best in the studio, and make the most out of your equipment. At the time of this publication, Ratt was among the world's most successful glam metal bands. They had released 4 platinum albums and were doing their Dancing Undercover tour. Ratt was rare in the field of 1980s glam bands in that they had 2 highly skilled guitarists, Robin Crosby and Warren, who had very different styles. When I first interviewed the band right after they put out of the Cellar, I asked Robin about the differences in their approaches. Here's what he had to say, quote, "Warren has a good sense for a big flurry of notes, whereas I go for nice, clean, melodic solos. He can blow their minds out with the full Guitar Hero speed trip, and I'm a slow hand who can pretty much cover what he doesn't do. I think there's a lot of truth in that. I found Warren to be really personable and fun to talk to, and I'm a great fan of his playing. So here, without further ado, is my January 7th, 1987 cover story interview with Warren DeMartini. I hope you enjoy it.
Hi, is Warren there?
Yeah, speaking, Jazz?
Yeah.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm doing real good.
Hey, is this a good time to talk, amigo?
Yeah.
Oh, great. Well,
yeah, it's fine.
I'm real pleased to be doing your cover story.
Yeah, it's a thrill for me as well. I've been reading your stuff for a long time, and it's nice.
Yeah. You know,
only things I wish it could be in person, but
yeah, me too.
Can't have everything.
Not only that, I'm from Michigan, so it'd be a real pleasure to go back.
Yeah, I was really hoping we could have done this in person. I'd like to get together with you sometime anyway.
Yeah.
Meet you sometime.
Yeah, I'm sure maybe next time you're in the Bay Area.
Yeah. Where are you living?
San Jose.
San Jose?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Hey, have you noticed much of an evolution in your style since the last time we talked?
Yeah, I sure have. It was somewhat evolution, somewhat meditated. I listened to stuff and the way I was sounding, and so kind of worked about things that I thought I knew to work on. And I think that kind of changed things. But yeah, I did notice a change. Yeah.
Are you saying that you consciously decide which way you're going to evolve and then work towards it?
Well, not so much that, but I think I just start to like the different styles of music that I liked, that I've listened to over the years. Some of it I start to sway towards more than other stuff.
Yeah.
So no, it's not real conscious, but yeah, it has sort of changed a bit, hasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it seems much more proficient.
I think partially it was a lot of the touring. When we hadn't done much touring before Out of the Cellar came out, and then when we toured that record, I found that some of the stuff was flowed real well on stage and was real. Felt real good, and some of it didn't. So I think part that might have had something that might have been an element somewhat in the change.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of in a way it's almost like I think that my style changed a little bit to the live performance, a little bit, and then kind of made it the way it is.
What's the difference between your live and studio playing?
Well, mainly that I'm not standing up in the studio really, and and that it's not the same environment at all. It's completely different environment. It's controlled environment for me. So it's the spontaneity and the God, I'm searching for the word. There's something about going out onto a stage, really, you know, in front of people. There's kind of I cannot think of what I'm trying to say it. It's not fixed, you know. It's like when you go into a studio, you almost have to create the moment yourself, really, you know. When you're working on music, it's not, you know, getting a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of you know, behind it, like as you would you know, in a live situation, which was all that I was used to really doing before, you know. And then when we started to record and do stuff like that, that really kind of changed things around, because I can do things a lot clearer and sharper and more precise when I'm not moving around and I'm playing. When I'm playing in the show, it becomes a little more difficult.
Yeah.
So I think all the touring over, I think that those kind of two things, and a lot of the touring sort of made the change, you know.
Yeah. You once said that the source of your fire is anger. Do you still feel that way?
Yeah, you know, that was a pretty good. For the time, it wasn't a bad analogy, but I think people kind of took it wrong. You know, it's something that I'm actually, you know, mad or anything. But I mean, but you know, there's something about it, what's deep down, where the playing comes from. I suppose some of that is fueled by a certain kind of anger. Yeah.
Huh.
It's the, you know, the same kind of thing that I used to see when I see Pete Townsend play, you know, or some films I've seen of Hendrix. He kind of had this look about him. It's just like yeah, I actually play better sometimes when I'm you know, angry about something, or pissed off about something isn't going right. You know, someone's you know, something isn't always going just right. You know, sometimes I get kind of angry about it, and then it happens and I have a really good show. You know, I don't know, but I know that like the whole guitar, for me, the guitar playing and everything was more or less of a kind of a, you know, almost a. It was kind of a way I channeled a lot of extra energy that I had. You know.
When you were a kid.
Yeah. And I suppose some of that was kind of, you know, when you know, I started when I was about 14, 15, and, you know, back then it seemed that I, you know, was uptight about a lot of things, and maybe that I should or shouldn't have been, whatever, but I mean, you know, it was a release, you know. The working on the guitar was kind of almost a therapy, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said something in a recent interview that really struck me. You were talking about the fine art of holding back. Not showing your hand all in one solo and stuff. Could you elaborate on that a little bit?
Certainly. Nothing really disappoints me more than going to see someone going to see a show or listen to a record or something, somebody that is skillful, and find that it's kind of a barrage of information. You know, just a lot of. You know, it's kind of like laying down, you know, just a large bet on a full house or something right off. You know what I mean? It's like there's no working up to it, or there's no kind of setting the mood for anything. And I've always kind of swayed more to people that kind of have that kind of style about them. You know, they kind of have things worked out to where they say certain things that, you know, it's not everything is presented to you at once. That, you know, that the main theme of let's say the person's style isn't you know, real present always. You know, and up front. You know, I like people that can make a you know. That can do, you know, really kind of what I was saying, you know, kind of hold back. it's just something. People like that I've always really kind of liked a little bit more than the people that seem to be just out there, trying to play fast. It's something that I've done myself. Really, when I look back, it's something I'm not really making any moral judgments on anyone or anything, but it's just I prefer people who because I think that requires a little more thought, really,
Who do you think of as doing that?
Pardon me?
Who comes to mind when you think of people?
People like Stevie Ray Vaughan. I saw him not too long ago in the summertime, and his playing seemed to me like he doesn't just have he got a real fine technique and a very smooth player, but and he can play real fast and he's very accurate. But I found that he kind of watching him play, he just would get into whatever song he was in, and then kind of work his sound and the notes around the groove of the song instead of the guitar statement being a statement always. It came and went, kind of in climaxes inside the song,
Yeah.
That's what I really like that, and Johnny Winter reminds me. Is like that as well. I saw him too in the summertime, and he has that kind of I don't know, what would you call it? I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's players like that. Eddie. Eddie's like that too.
Yeah. Now, what has experience taught you about getting your best sound on a record?
Well, it taught me that really the best and only way for me is to just plug straight into the thing and try to get as less things hanging you up between the guitar and the amplifier, and to try and work from there. Instead of having a lot of effects going along while you're recording.
So you tend to minimize the time you spend tweaking the sound?
No, I just tend to minimize the actual break in the line. I use the chord going from the guitar to the amp. I don't even like. There's a thing, since I do play a lot of it in the control room. There's a box in there where you can plug your guitar cord into the thing, and it doesn't have to go outside the door. It can just go into the wall, and then you plug on the other side. You plug another cord, and that goes into the amp.
Uh-huh.
But even that change, for me, I noticed a difference. Something a producer would never notice.
Yeah.
That's something we'll get to later, but. Yeah, I found that so I do work with the sound a lot, mainly with the EQ settings on the amp,
Uh-huh.
The presence, the bass, the mid, and the treble and stuff.
Is this that same Marshall that Robin used?
Yeah, well, we both, I got a few of them a couple of years ago. I got quite a few of them, and out of those, I found 3 or 4 real nice ones that always work pretty well in the studio. One I've used on both records. And one I only used on one, but yeah, he in fact used them, I think, on a few songs.
What makes these Marshalls different?
I think the fact that they're this one. I think one of them is this old amp, and I don't know what year it is really, but it doesn't have the same cosmetic look that most of them do. It's got like where it's usually just gold, where the knob's set on and stuff. Yeah. It's got a plastic feel instead of a brushed metal feel to it. And it's EL34 it's old. It's not very loud. It's
100 watt.
It's 100 watt, but it sounds volume wise it sounds more like a 50. It doesn't shake the room quite that much, but it's got a lot of warmth to it.
Is it tweed covered or black?
Well, I had since I got it, it's been in a couple different shells, and now it's in a shell that I had a friend of mine just take all the toe legs off and kind of put some varnish on it. It kind of looks like a piece to a dresser now or something. You know.
Do you take that on the road?
No.
Uh-huh.
No.
Now, when you're in the studio doing your solos, are there other members of the band there?
Not really, because I usually leave it up to the producer to tell me if I'm feeling good or not, you know. And then if I get nowhere with that, then you know, usually it'll go down to the engineer. I look to for advice when I'm putting stuff down. I work off people's feedback, you know, the next day. Let's say after they hear it or something, you know, what the reaction to stuff is. But I really don't. I tend not to. I tend to not try and have that many irons in the fire, as it were. You know, it's really kind of hard enough for me just with one person.
Do you do just work on one solo at a time?
You know, I actually, especially on this last album, I've gotten the tracks done pretty fast. So I was able to kind of jump from song to song. I would just, you know, I just had a list of the material that we had done, and I would work on songs first, you know, that I either liked or was more familiar with the note, you know, with what I was soloing against, or I would work on a ghost tape at home, you know, just a rhythm tape with no solo on it, and then play along with it and work it out that way, and then come in the next day and experiment with what I worked out.
Now, something like the Body Talk solo, what kind of preparation went into that?
None at all, really. That one, which is not only one of my favorite ones on the record, but that one was almost the most spontaneous.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was because the song has got a faster tempo than the others, or if it's just because it's a shorter solo or what, but I really had, that one came off pretty easy, really.
That's one of your most fiery of all of them.
Yeah, I have to agree with that.
Yeah. What about One Good Lover? How psyched were you for that?
I actually wanted Robin to play the solo on One Good Lover when we were doing it, but then later I found that I did something in that song I never did before, and that was play in the first position. You know, play with the strings that were open.
Yeah.
No, excuse me, doesn't matter. I'm sorry. One Good Lover, right.
It doesn't matter where you played open positions?
Yeah, it doesn't matter when I played One Good Lover. Now, yeah, I know what you're talking about now. Yeah, what were you asking about that one?
How psyched up you were when you did that. It seems like that might be a complicated one to record.
Yeah, I don't remember that much. That nothing really stands out that much about it, other than the other ones, you know.
Well, when you're doing a solo like that, will you take a bunch of different passes at it?
Yeah. I generally will use up 4 tracks.
Uh-huh.
And then some of them will have a great beginning. I always like to have a nice beginning, you know, something that kind of, I listen for the beginning when I do a solo and stuff. And like some will have a good beginning, some will have a good middle or a good end. And out of 4 of them, if one of them doesn't play right all the way through, then the producer can edit.
Right.
You know, they know how to edit them together to where you really wouldn't know otherwise. In Your Direction was a solo that was like that. It was just, I'd done it 4 times,
yeah.
And it was all the same sort of solo, and he was able to piece it together. Problem was that it skipped around a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I found that it was actually doing it that way made it technically a lot more difficult to pull off live, because it was something that I never really did.
Which solo was this?
This was the solo on Out of the Cellar, In Your Direction.
Right.
Yeah, it starts out a certain way, and then it jumps around the neck a lot. And live, that was so like when I recorded that song and then we toured it, and I played the song a lot, and was dealing both with the way it skipped around and getting used to really playing in a live situation, I said to myself, this can't happen. I'm never going to do this thing where things are edited together again because it's just too fucking hard,
Yeah. Did you double track part of the Seventh?
Pardon me?
Did you double track part of the 7th Avenue solo?
Double track?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that. I think I might have double tracked that.
Yeah, that's a little bit bluesier than usual, that solo.
Yeah, it is. It is. The song, when we put the song up for me to record on, just the real kind of fast, the faster playing didn't sit that well in the track.
Uh-huh.
It just didn't sound that right. So I just kind of sort of tried to forget everything and just try and play something that would work with the song,
Have you ever had instances where Robin would record a solo and then you'd redo it, another one on top, and take that one, or vice versa? Do you ever have to choose between one person's solo versus the others?
Let me think. I think we did do that once. Yeah. So I think there's been a couple songs where he just says. In fact, it doesn't matter. I think because I wanted him to play the solo on that one, and he just played. He played it, and he just. Okay. He played it, and then he just didn't like what the way it was sounded. So he asked me if I would do it, record it. I really didn't want to, but because I knew that he could do something that would work for sure. But
now, at what stage of the writing process do you determine who's going to solo?
Well, for me, it starts pretty much with on the songs where I'm the spiritual author. I kind of take the solo from there. So it's like if I come up with the riff for the song, then it's something that I created kind of out of my style. So my lead playing kind of goes hand in hand with that in a way, inadvertently kind of sort of. And then other than that, on other people's songs, it's just kind of a thing where I'm pretty much, it's like, I pretty much play, it's stuff where Robin wants to play something, that is when he plays the lead on something. Otherwise, I pretty much play everything,
On Take a Chance and Enough is Enough, it seems like your tone is more explosive than on other cuts on the record. Was that recorded differently, maybe at a higher volume or something?
I know what you mean, and I know exactly what you mean too.
Yeah.
I don't think so. You know what I think it was? I think I was just playing with the head that I was talking about earlier, the one with the varnish on it.
Uh-huh.
Because the one head I was playing out of two heads. One was a little newer. One was like it had the larger letters and the different Tolex and the plastic switches.
Yeah.
And the master volume and everything. I was playing out of a head like that, and then I hooked in the other head. So one of them was really loud, but one of them wasn't. One of them just was a little tonier. And I've been playing most of the tracks with those two together until one something happened to where it wasn't working, and I didn't want to take the break and lose the moment that I was in. So I just took everything apart, plugged straight into one head. I think neither one or two cabinets or one cabinet, and just finished everything out that way.
Is the varnished one the older of the heads?
Yeah, that's the one with the plastic or kind of, I don't even know what they used back then. It wasn't that kind of tin looking stuff. It looks like plexiglass. Looks like plexiglass.
Eddie told me he had one like that.
Right. Well, yeah, probably same year. I don't know. I don't see very many of them.
Is it like a '60s one?
Yeah, I mean we're talking, one of the earlier ones. I've had two of them like that. One was a tremolo head, and that was the best head, really the best head I ever had. I blew the transformer out of that long before I ever got into any studio.
Yeah.
But it was I just really liked that head a lot. It was a tremolo head. Had an extra tube, and it had a an intensity and a tremolo knob on it. It had 2 extra knobs on it. And that one as well had a plexiglass face on it, and that one sounded even better than the one I have now, as I remember. But this one I still like a lot.
Do you tend to use Marshalls on stage?
Mm-hmm.
How many?
Well, I've got 6 with me now, but now I'm using mainly just one. My last 2 tours, just one.
One head?
Kind of as loud as it'll go. Now I'm using one as loud as it'll go with power amps along with it. Whereas last year I just used one head, but that's a whole different thing that we'll get into later, because that the reason that I ended up that way is kind of something I think we'll get into in a little while.
Okay. What do you consider your best solos on Invasion of Your Privacy?
I think my favorite one is You're in Love.
Uh-huh.
And I like the solo and Lay It Down a lot. And I like this stuff. I like Dangerous but Worth the Risk. I like the end of Dangerous but Worth the Risk. That was sort of stretching back into really kind of where I'm at now, almost. A little bit bluesier, I suppose.
Yeah.
I like those.
I'm interested in what's involved in maintaining your level of skill. How much time do you have to put in, say, day to day or week to week?
Really not much. It's more at this point thought. I can think of things. It's really kind of a hard thing for me to analyze almost, because it's like when I started, it was in such a strange circumstance that the guitar was like it was similar to that of a relationship you'd have with someone, where it's just all the time, and it completely takes over your whole soul, kind of.
Uh-huh.
So I put in so much at the time that my skill in my playing went up very quickly. Whereas I kind of almost went ahead of myself and my skill as far as my style or anything. I could play. I could always play, things fast, and I always worked on being accurate and stuff, and worked on things, individual things like a vibrato or picking, being able to pick this or that, and being able to pick across strings and hit notes, like if I'm playing around like the A string or the D string, being able to hit a note on the B or the E string and then go back to the D and A string, you know what I mean? Just kind of slide one in there.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. It was like similar to that of kind of tuning up an automobile or something, driving around was a whole different story,
Yeah.
And that's where I'm kind of at now. It's a little bit less practice and more thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you ever get ideas when you don't have a guitar in hand that you apply later?
All the time.
Yeah?
All the time, yeah.
Do you have a way of remembering them, or?
I don't always remember them. And I've tried to, I've gotten a couple things, I have a mini cassette recorder that I carry around with me.
Uh-huh.
And that is usually around me all the time. So that pretty much takes care of most of the time when I don't have a guitar around. But the time that I lose the most ideas is the moment before I go to sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I tend to think of a lot of things around that time, and then, there's just, I just forget.
What would you most like to improve about your playing?
Well, now I've got, I've got, I guess really I'm really working on my sound, and because I've had to, because of the stages we use and stuff, it's to my advantage to go wireless. Something I don't really like that much. I like the freedom of it, but I don't like the way it breaks up the line. So I would, I'm really trying to work on the sound and getting it so that what I'm playing on the fretboard, the way I would play if we were together and I was playing and the guitar wasn't plugged in, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you could still hear it. It's like almost that way. I want it to be able to be heard like that, kind of the, you know what I mean, clearer. It's
Clear and instantaneous.
Yeah, I mean, getting just the right sound so that it's very audible. I would say is what I'm really trying to go after.
Are there any techniques that you're working on? Things that you want to learn?
I'm just trying to bring my attack up as much as I can.
Your attack?
I'm striving for more attack. When I'm playing live or when I'm playing, I've noticed from people mentioning to me that I'm always, or that see me up close, that I'm always trying to turn the guitar up more, and it's like almost a nervous habit or something,
Yeah.
or like I don't know why. And then I sort of started to notice that it's like when I'm playing, I'll sort of for a minute think that the guitar isn't turned up enough and just trying to turn it up more. I'm always trying to turn the guitar up more. So I'm sort of trying to figure out why that is and trying to compensate for it. Trying to get the sound that I'm hearing in my head and then I want to come off, get that to be actually what's happening. That's really a trick, isn't it?
Yeah. So, do you think equipment's that important to your art?
Yes and no. I mean, I've played out of so much different stuff, and in a way, it really all sounds the same. And there's almost very subtle differences subtle differences, but then again, very real and large differences. But that I'm not sure that some people would really notice. I think it's something that I'm so close to, and it's like kind of the only kind of analogy I can think of would be like a mechanic I would be willing to bet a mechanic could just listen to a car and tell the right mechanic would be able to listen to a car and know what's wrong with it.
Yeah.
Similar to that, or me not being that familiar with the workings of a motor wouldn't be able to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. I've tried a lot of different amps, tubes, solid state, and all have advantages and disadvantages, and but it's I don't think my playing really changes that much from amp to amp. It's kind of just the sound, and there's got to be 1,000 different tones out there.
What's your favorite setup of all?
My favorite setup is just a guitar with a not a high output, but a clear but kind of high output pickup. I don't know if it's just an active pickup, a pickup that pickup that has a lot of harmonics in it and stuff. And a chord about 20 feet, and a Marshall head and one cabinet, really, one or two.
What kind of speakers?
My favorite speakers are 25-watt Celestians, vintage, the ones that they don't make and haven't made for a long time.
Are you much of a fan of effects devices?
Yeah, I like what some people are doing with effects, like Steve Stevens.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it just sounds great. Yeah, I like effects. That I'm not the kind of person that I get real bored with stuff real fast. Not so much listening to it, but working with it. I mean, I've got this thing now. It's a Yamaha effects. It's got a whole bunch of stuff in it. It's the SDX 90, I think.
Yeah, SPX 90.
Yeah, does that sound right?
Yeah.
It's got it's got everything you could really imagine in there, and it's just for me. I don't know if it's I did get it almost right before we left to go on the road, but I didn't have a lot of time to mess with it, and I found a couple of things I liked about it, but I'm really only using maybe 5-10% of the thing. Yeah. I haven't even really experimented with that much stuff. That's where I kind of get hung up with effects. A lot of times they're a little bit complicated, and I don't take the time to figure them out.
Could you trace your signal chain on stage, like what kind of wireless you use and where the signal routes to?
You want me to do that now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I go from a Sony, the new Sony, I don't know the name of it.
Uh-huh.
It's about the size of, it's about the size of, I don't know, it's larger than a cigarette. Do you know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's
It's like the size of a Marlboro 100.
Right.
Yeah, that one. It's got an extra battery thing in it.
Right.
Right. That one goes into the receiver. That goes into an amplifier.
Right. Marshall.
Right. The output of the preamp section of that amplifier goes into an effects loop thing.
Right.
You know. Wait. Actually, I should be drawing this so I can get it right. Okay, yeah, so the guitar signal goes into the wireless. Wireless goes into the amp. The output of the amp goes into this light. It's kind of like a control board for the effects that I'm using, which is a 41, a 42, and a SDX90.
What's a 41? Lexington?
Lexicon, yeah.
Yeah.
And then from there, it goes out into two Mesa Boogie power amps.
Uh-huh.
And then from there it goes into two 30-watt Celestion cabinets.
So the volume's controlled at the Marshall?
Volume's controlled at the Mesa power.
At the Mesa?
So it's like the output of the head isn't actually going to the speakers, it's going into the boogies.
Uh-huh.
But the whole thing is feeding off of a kind of a central control panel thing where the effects are patched in. The signal's not going from the wireless into the effects. They're going in at a different place. They're going from the actual amp. So there's the one thing that which was part of what I was saving up for what happened to me last year was I went out on the road with the Nadies and on pretty much same outboard stuff. But I was going from the Nadies into the 41 and the 42, and then into a hush thing, and then into the amps that were then into the cabinets, right?
Right.
So by the time I hit a note and it would come out of the speakers, it would be somewhere near the next day, just about, right? Because there was just so much resistance in the line. I've never been able to adjust the input and output of those lexicons or anything like that. I never was real good at that or anything. But I went out on the last tour and I had the 80s going into that stuff, and it was like maybe there was so much. It just wasn't clean. So I really ended up for the majority of the '85 tour. I just gave the sound man the effects, and I just put a cord straight into the head that I was using, and plugged it into a cabinet, and just turned it all the way up. No. Instead of having the luxury of the effects on the stage, I sacrificed that, went back to a cord, and played the whole tour that way.
Now, when you're
and inadvertently, that really made me play the way I'm playing now, I would have to say, because I noticed a shocking difference when all of a sudden I had a lot of echo, swimming echo if I wanted, really.
Yeah.
And I went to a completely dry signal, which was loud. I mean, that was like a shocking realization because I've become very used to the effects.
Yeah.
I become, in a way, kind of, it was something that I was used to. So I mean, it took a few days really to get clean again.
Would you be comfortable playing a concert with no effects?
Yeah, well, I did. I mean, I did it all last year.
Yeah.
I ended up I just loved it. It was great having the chord. The only thing that I really didn't like was that there was a lot of like obstacles on the stage, a lot of stairs, a lot of like stuff where a chord could get caught up, and it did all the time. People stepping on it getting caught here and there, and it was distracting. But the sound was worth it because it was just so immediate.
How do you like to set the tones on your Marshall?
I like to set them about aside from the bass, everything about anywhere from 11 to 2 o'clock, 10 to 2 o'clock, anywhere between there. the bass I leave. Last year I wasn't playing with a lot of bass. I was playing with mainly presence. Presence always pretty hot because presence is the least active EQ on a Marshall, I think.
Yeah.
And then from there, the mid-range I worked with a lot, going anywhere from 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock, and the treble anywhere from 0 to 10, really.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
What about the volume and master volume?
I always keep those as loud as they'll go without it making it muddy, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, what's your favorite guitar?
Well, my favorite guitar cosmetically is the brown Python snakeskin guitar that I have.
I think that's what you're posing with for the cover shot.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
Jackson?
Pardon me?
Is that a Jackson?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I was in New Orleans on the Squat when we were with Squire. We were playing in New Orleans. We had a day off there, and I was cruising around, checking out this and that, and I happened onto it and just had to have it. And they wouldn't sell it to me the first time I went to buy it, because it wasn't for sale. But then I went back the next day, and they changed their minds.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it was good. It was really good. I was really happy.
Now, how many guitars will you use on stage?
3. I'm using 3. I have a white guitar that has some French writing on it. That's a Jackson. That has a little bit lighter wood than the snakeskin one.
Uh-huh.
I'm using that, the snakeskin one, and a black performance guitar that was built by Cooney. Cooney built it for me.
Performance, is that out of Valley Arts?
That's out of Performance Guitar on Yucca and Vine.
Right, okay. Yeah. Do you have any special requirements for guitars as far as setup or electronics or pickups?
No, I don't, because I'm always really kind of interested in new things and what the new stuff they're coming up with. They've really come a long way in people that don't have a lot of background in electronics or knowing what 2K is or 10K or 50 whatever.
Right.
You don't have to know that lingo to get what to be able to describe what you want.
Yeah.
That's really come a long way in the last few years. So I'm always kind of interested. I like it. I like the progress.
What kind of pickups do you like?
My all-time favorite that I've always gone back to has been the JB Duncan. I always end up going back to that.
Jack Duncan?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That one I've always I'll never forget the first time I got one of those pickups. It was I was using that tremolo head I was telling you about.
Yeah.
And I had my first Charvel guitar that I ever had, and but I had I bought it secondhand, and it had, I don't know what it had in it, and I was playing then I was playing in just a 3-piece band with a singer. Actually, we didn't have a singer at the time. We were just rehearsing, and my sound wasn't, because I would practice so much without an amp. Really, the majority of my practicing has always been without an amp, and so to playing with an amp is so much different,
Yeah, sure.
It really, you notice all the strings that vibrate when you're not using them. That's all. It's like when. It's the difference between playing in the dark or in the day, really.
So you always practice unplugged?
Well, I always did, and then it's like now I still do.
Mm-hmm.
Now I practice with an amp more than I did. But I mean, when I first started out, I had just enough really to buy the actual instrument itself. No amp, I couldn't get an amp, and so I really liked the fact that I could practice the guitar and no one could hear it,
That's really the best way to pick a great guitar, too, is to get one unamplified.
Oh, yeah, that's the only way, really. The only way to know what a guitar is going to sound like is to play with it for a while unamplified.
Yeah.
But, that's the way I worked on my playing, but the majority of it was just without an amp. Unlike a violin or drums or a horn or something, it's not something you could wake up at 3 in the morning and start weigh one on really and expect to get anywhere, you know. Really.
Not if you live in a city.
Yeah. I mean, I just love the fact that you could, you could really play, an indefinite amount of time and never bother anybody.
Yeah.
So I stuck with that, and it wasn't until I started jamming with people that I realized all the stuff that you really have to. I almost had to relearn, the way that the hammer comes down on the piano when you're not playing the string to deaden it. I had to teach myself how to do that. When I could play. I could play fairly well, but it wasn't coming off because there was all these other strings going off at the same time. Just the way. I mean, if you hit an E string, if you hit an E anywhere on the neck, if you're not holding the E down, the thing's going to vibrate.
Right.
Because the two are in common, and they cycle around the same. They cycle around the same cycle.
Right.
So if you're not in the habit of deadening all the strings that are like that, whatever it is, A, D, or E, or whatever, that they're just going to start going by themselves.
Do you tend to damp with the heel of your right hand or with the fingers on your left hand that aren't fingering anything?
It's the palm of my right hand and mainly the index finger of my left. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Now, one of the things a lot of guys want to know about is how you pick fast, like how to get up to speed.
Well,
I'll add in one thing. In our 20th anniversary issue in January, Dweezil and Frank Zappa both mentioned you as being a great guitar player, and Dweezil said that he's been practicing keeping his right hand stiff the way that you do.
Uh-huh.
And I wonder if you could explain what that means.
To the picking, that I would have to go back to a couple different people that. I keep my hands stiff, but yet there's still a slight movement in my thumb and my finger. I think the reason that my wrist stiffened up was playing live more. I just think that it being tense kind of in the beginning. I sort of just ended up starting to play that way, and to try and make sure that I was playing everything correctly. It kind of inadvertently made my wrist do that. It's like I was always conscious of making things clean,
Uh-huh.
I don't know that trying to keep your wrist stiff is the best. Would be the best thing if it works out. It is, but I don't know that is really what makes it accurate.
How do you hold the pick?
The pick is pointed. The pick itself is pointed more toward the. It's like I play a little bit in front of the pickup, and the pick is pointed toward the edge of the pickup ring. In other words,
it's angled down a bit.
Yeah, it's angled down. It's like where the pick kind of looks like a diamond, sort of, right?
Right.
So if the pointed part of the pick was staring straight down at the floor, you'd sort of turn it a little bit to the right, about a third of a turn, so that the left edge of the pick is almost going exactly like where your thumb is. So that makes the pick have the edge of the pick is sort of pointing toward the bridge of the guitar. Do you know what I mean?
So in other words, instead of like the arrow of the pick pointing straight at the pickup, it points more towards the bridge of the guitar?
Instead of the arrow of the pick pointing straight down at the body, right, it's pointing toward the pickup of the bridge.
Okay, right.
All right. And then that gives the pick a little bit more. There's more pick touch in the string.
Right. So you're not hitting it exactly with the edge of the pick or the pointy edge, but a little bit up that side a tiny bit.
Yeah, I'm using both the point. Well, if it does hit the point, it's at the back.
Right.
Yeah, and other than that, and that I think was trying to get things warmer. I used the edge of the side of the pick more,
Yeah. Do you ever twist the pick a little bit so you're kind of slicing through the strings rather than hitting it with the flat part of the pick?
Wait, you have to run that by one more time.
Okay, if you're holding the pick just flat, right?
Uh-huh.
And you hit the string flat, it takes a little bit longer to get through the string than if you twist the pick a tiny bit and you're hitting it at kind of an angle and like you're slicing through the string.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
Do you tend to do that?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Now, do you follow a consistent pattern of up and down strokes?
No, I don't.
Okay.
That was kind of one of those things that I could never discipline myself to do long enough, I guess.
So, like in the song "Dance," you're not.
No, that's Echo is
Okay.
creating that that rhythm.
Uh-huh.
It's a delay similar to that of. Everyone who heard that song says, "Oh, that sounds just like that Pete Townsend song on Empty Glass,"
Oh no.
and all these kind of songs and stuff. And I guess it does. It was an Echo kind of thing. I think the setting is about 310. Put it on about 310.
What's this, the lexicon?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And then you just sort of just hit the string, and you can get this rhythm. That's one thing I really love about Echo is if you turn the output of the Echo up a little bit, and you can sort of create a rhythm just by hitting the strings. It's like
Yeah.
and that's kind of where I came up with that. It's that it's like it's fun. I can't really play that what I'm doing. It doesn't sound the same if I try and pick everything and dance.
Do you do a lot of hammer-ons and pull-offs?
It depends. It depends what I'm trying to do or what. If I'm going down, I tend to pick less.
Yeah.
If I'm going down the neck, for some reason it's easier for I don't require as many hitting as many notes when I'm picking down the neck as I do when I'm going up. I need more picking when I'm going up. I guess since you need more effort climbing up a hill than you would going down,
Right.
I pick more. I tend to pick more going up, but it's always a 2 to 3 ratio. It's 2 picks out of 3 notes.
What's that? 2 picks up?
2 picks up. The last one is hammered. Then you pick the next 2. Then you hammer the last one. You pick the next 2. You hammer the last one. So it's a da, down, up, hammer, down, up, hammer, down, up, hammer, down, up, hammer.
Oh, I see.
See what I mean?
Yeah.
You can get going. You can get incredible speed out of that.
Huh.
That kind of thing. And then occasionally I'll pick all. And then as I'm getting towards the end of the figure, I'll pick all 3. But if I'm trying to get from, if I'm going up a scale starting around the E section, starting on the A string, I'll use that configuration to get started. And then if I want the sound of a lot of picking to be apparent, then I'll pick it.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's mainly just it's that combination.
What are your views on using a whammy?
Well, nowadays I like using a whammy more or less kind of like a slide.
Uh-huh.
Slide. I really appreciate a good slide player.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I just love the sound of that. I love the sound of it, and I love the vibrato. George Lynch has a thing he does where he vibratos like he would with a slide, only there's no slide.
Yeah.
And I love that sound that gets. Slide. I like that.
Do you play any slide?
No, I don't. I have a slide. I bought a slide, and it's been in my car ever since I got it, and I look at it every day. and I don't know why I haven't started to play it. I don't know.
You don't experiment with open tunings?
Yeah, I do. But I haven't with a slide. It's like I guess liking the slide, and now the more that I know, I started to notice that people. Because it's like you put a slide up to a normally tuned guitar, and it's kind of awkward.
Warren, is there a difference between your practicing and your warming up for a gig?
Yeah, because and I'll tell you, for me it comes down to down cold. If my hands are cold, and it's that kind of cold where it's cold all the way through.
Yeah.
That can be kind of a hard thing to warm up to for a show. And now, especially now that since we are touring out here in the Midwest and the East Coast in the wintertime, there's a lot. Places are pretty warm, but I mean sometimes you just get downright freezing cold, and it's hard to warm. It's hard to warm up. The guitar is cold. My hands are cold.
Yeah.
A hairdryer. I found recently that before I even start to play anything, I just I'll just kind of warm up my hands with a hairdryer for a few minutes.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I know of a classical player who plays outdoors a lot, and she said she always kept a hot water bottle in her case, and she'd reach down between songs and
hang on to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything like that. I remember this one friend of mine it was this thing he got from Europe somewhere. It was the size of a cigarette lighter, and there was something inside it that was burning,
Oh, that's called a hand warmer.
Yeah.
Any newspaper boy has one of those.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that same kind of thing. I actually kind of been looking for one of those.
You're in the right town to get one.
Yeah. That's for sure.
Man.
Yeah, but so far the hairdryer thing has worked out the best for me. And then I just kind of warm up with either scales or just some easy chord songs or some just a few some licks. The more I warm up, the better I am throughout the show.
Do you practice on your main stage guitar?
No, what I did is, and I didn't notice it until now, but the one the performance guitar that I have, I didn't play at all last year. I used to warm up with every night, and then this year I plugged it in to the stuff, and I liked it. So now I'm playing it in the show. But I knew the guitar quite well because I warmed up with it for months before, the year before. Now I've built another snakeskin guitar, similar to the one that the first one I made that looked more like a leopard skin or something.
Right.
I made one like that, and now I take that one to my room with me and I warm up before the show with that. So next year I'm planning on using that one in the show.
Is that real snakeskin?
Mm-hmm. Python, yeah.
Python, huh?
Yeah. I didn't get that one in New Orleans, but it's Python.
And did Grover make that?
No, Grover just makes Grover. The same guy that painted the sword guitar and the skull and crossbones guitar applied the snakeskin for me to the first one.
To the what, sword guitar?
No, the same guy that painted the sword guitar and the skull and crossbones guitar applied the skin to the first snakeskin guitar that I had. I just brought him the skin and the body and said, "Have at it,"
Have you retired that other guitar?
Yeah, I gave it to the Hard Rock Cafe in Chicago.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Now,
that was really the first experimental thing. I've learned quite a few things about actually trying to apply something over a guitar since then.
Yeah.
Like there shouldn't. The first mistake I made was I tried doing it to a primed body. You know how a guitar looks before they paint it. It's just white.
Right.
I tried doing it to that, and that along with the skin gave it a very bassy, mushy sound. And it wasn't until I started putting the skins just straight to the undid wood.
Just glued it
just glued it straight to the wood that they actually, I could get any kind of a sound out of them.
Is there a finish over the skins?
No.
Wow.
No, because I like them. I want them to look. I want them to look, like as much as they've been played out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Warren, do you feel much competition with other guitar players in the hard rock field?
I really don't.
No.
No, I never. The people that I always really admired never seem to be involved in that, and I don't know if that is why, or if it's just that my personality doesn't really lend myself to it, or if it's not me really. I like music too much to let it get into that.
Yeah.
I would never want to not go and see somebody that was good because I thought that because there was some kind of competition thing entering into it. I always want to be able to go and see who I want to see and like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
I mean, I'm mainly in competition with myself. I mean, that would be a competition.
Yeah.
That's really my competition is what I'm trying to, what I'm trying to say and what I'm trying to do, and what I enjoy doing, and it's kind of, from my own personal feelings about it, I've set standards really for myself.
Yeah.
And those are the ones that I have to live up to. To try and live up to what this guy's doing or that guy's doing would be a waste of time, really.
Do you ever find your role in being in a two-guitar band to be limiting?
Yeah. Who is it? No, she went out. I'm on the phone. I'll talk to you in a minute.
Yeah, we're almost done.
No, it's okay.
Oh, okay.
I've been waiting a long, long time to talk to you, Jazz.
Oh, good. Yeah. Let's see, I was asking you if you felt your role was limiting.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it is. I sometimes I reminisce, not reminisce, but I think about how I would be if I was the only guitarist, or what that would be like. But I suppose, it would be different, and it was what I initially set out to do. But you can't really, things don't always work out exactly the way, exactly to what you had in mind.
Yeah.
Not to say that I'm complaining, I'm really not, but it's like I almost would love to just get together with some friends and put down some music that without any kind of it's hard, like prearranged vibe,
Yeah.
And just have it, and just put it out and have it available to people that just kind of like that kind of music. Not have to worry about, this big, not have to worry about what these people are going to think, or the press going to think, of that kind of thing.
Yeah.
That kind of thing gets real tiresome, when you're trying to create something and then you get kind of put up against this these firing squad with their pen knives,
No kidding.
And that is something, which in the situation I'm in, I tend to get hit pretty hard with, and I I would love to just do some stuff that I kind of almost carefree,
Yeah.
That's something I'd like to do. But then, it would be like, oh, he's doing a solo album, he's quitting this, he's doing that.
Right.
And so I dare, I don't even, I don't really even talk about it. But, yeah, it's on my mind, and it's something that, I would like to do sometime, but,
Is there any danger in becoming too popular too fast?
Well, it's, I think, yeah, I think you almost have, you really have, you just sort of get tossed into the kiln there, and it kind of, you have to be able to. It's to answer your question, yeah, it is. It's because you just get all this kind of flack that you never really expected,
How do the MTV and People magazine images of big-time rock and roll, the stuff that kids are fed, stack up to the reality of being on the road and having a career like yours?
Oh, well, that's what kind of makes the whole press world a bit frustrating for me, is that it almost never really is, for me, and I just can't figure out the reason why. It always seems that I'm being misquoted, and that I'm saying this and I'm saying that, and I say this about. I mean, it's like, I was doing an interview once, and I was talking about someone I really liked, and I read it back, and it came off completely different than the way that I was talking about the person,
Yeah.
And I was talking about this person with genuine. I like the person, and it came off like kind of negative, and I kind of blamed it on the actual writer himself, and I don't know that was the best. Not actually, but for me I did. But it made me feel bad because I felt that I lost the relationship.
Yeah.
That I might have that was a damaging thing maybe to that relationship that never happened. And so, that sort of, I think that, that is kind of weird because about coming out and being new and coming out like too fast, like you said.
Yeah.
That can be a thing because you're not really prepared for how things can get, how you all of a sudden it's like all of a sudden somebody just puts this giant magnifying glass on or microscope on it.
Yeah.
And everything you're saying is what you're saying, but it's to the 10th power,
Yeah.
So people, I think, tend to take things real seriously, and it frightens me, really.
Is being a good musician enough to ensure success nowadays, or does it take something else?
I hope it does. I think you have to be a good. I think you have to be a good musician. I think that's the best place to start.
Yeah.
That's definitely the best place to start because that really is what fuels whatever you're doing. Other than that, you have to over the past few years, I've learned that you have to sort of really you have to try and observe things and sort of become wise in other areas as well.
Yeah.
Or you end up getting a lot of flack.
What advice would you give a great young up and coming band that was about to sign their first contract?
Well, from my past,
yeah.
It's a hard thing to give advice on something like that because it's almost always different. When we got signed to our label, got our deal, there was a producer who was in very much the same situation we were in, and the producer really is a key person.
Yeah.
In this subject. So I mean, I would have to say with a new band, a new great band coming out, they should try and I would say try and get into really figuring out who they want to work with.
Yeah.
That's always that can be, I think, a make it or break it thing.
Let me ask another question then. If you had a young friend or a kid or a brother or somebody who wanted to become a professional rock guitarist of substance, what learning route would you suggest they take?
If they were just starting out,
if they were
already started out,
they had a lot of promise,
and they were real good.
Yeah, and then you just had the feeling that they could make it.
I would have to say not to. I would have to say definitely not to jump into anything. What's the word for doing things too quickly? Impulsively.
Impulsive.
To not be impulsive. It's easy to be impulsive when you're trying to make it.
Uh-huh.
Well, this band's got, this band's got these guys managing them, and they manage so and so. So I mean, I'm going to go with them.
Yeah.
Or something like that. I think things are almost, from where I'm looking at things now, it's like things are almost way a lot simpler than I really thought.
Yeah.
My advice to him would be just to really go with your gut feelings, on whatever it is that comes up,
How much musical background should they get?
Well, I think that all depends on what kind of statement they want to make,
Yeah.
Because that's it's like the creative aspect of it and the business aspect of it are just so completely different, and both so demanding that it's kind of a thing you almost have to no pain no gain go through.
Yeah,
really, I mean,
right, you're right.
You have to really make mistakes to know where they are.
Yeah. Do you know of any underrated great players that you bumped into?
Well, my number one, who I thought was underrated for what he was doing was Steve Stevens, but that nowadays I don't think that's a problem.
Uh-huh.
I've heard all about lots and lots of players. Let's see, underrated player. Yeah, it just depends because some I've seen so many really just really good musicians and players that just don't make the effort to get out and do what you have to do to get yourself in the situation to really have to like, in other words, go and do the grind, you know, go live with your band, and, you know, at least this is what kind of something we did. You know, there was a period where, you know, you're kind of winging it for a while, you know,
yeah.
and that you have to really compromise what you're used to living like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it's nothing like, you know, it just depends on what you'll, you know, just what situation you'll let yourself get into. And I think that has stifled a lot of people,
Yeah.
you know, because it certainly wasn't their musicianship or their playing, because it was sometimes the best thing I'd ever heard or seen, you know.
Yeah.
You know, and that's out of, you know, people that are famous, you know, and I'm talking about people that aren't famous at the moment, that are just, you know, gifted players, and you know, it's not the playing that keeps them where they are.
Yeah. Have you done much playing outside of Ratt in the last few years?
No, not too much. I jammed a little bit with, I jammed once when Motley was in Paris. I jammed a song with them, and Phil Collins played too. That was a great time.
Boy, I imagine so.
That was just so much fun. I can't describe. Let's see. Other than that, no. And it's something that I really wanted to do. I've always loved, you know, hearing about that so and so jammed at the this and that club, you know.
Is there anyone you'd like to jam with?
Yeah, I would be I'm a little shy. I would be really shy. I mean, the guys that I really want to jam with, I don't know if I could ever really do it. I would be just too shy, you know. It would just be too weird.
Who would that be?
Oh, like, you know, Johnny Winter or Stevie Ray Vaughan, you know. Something like that.
It's funny you pick the blues-based guys, you know.
Yeah, well, I'm you know, looking back on it, you know, when I was, I mean, I made an attempt to start playing when I was 7, you know. I had a guitar. My mom got me a guitar when I was 7 years old, and because it was just always on my mind, and I was always listening to music. It was always something I was always really into. But I mean, when I try, it's like I got the guitar, but I didn't have any instruction, not even the basic instruction, you know. Which you really need with anything. I think at first, you know, you need just the basic instruction. So I saw a Who concert, and it was still at the stage when Pete was smashing everything, and the next day I smashed mine, you know. And that kind of ended things. Mama said, "That's the last guitar you get from me," you know. And she wasn't kidding, because it wasn't until I was 15 and I'd saved up my own money, you know.
What, you're about 22 now?
I'm 23 now, yeah.
Boy, you've really progressed a long ways in 8 years, Warren.
Oh, I've worked so hard at it.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, I just always loved the guitar. I just, you know, I can remember too well, you know, I'm the, my older brothers are, you know, they're, you know, when they were in their, like, late teens when I was born.
Yeah.
So, they were listening to just all this kind of, it's like it was around 67, 68, where there was just so much change happening with that particular decade, and the people like in that age, you know, range, and all the stuff happening in society and stuff, and it was all happening around me, and the music, I just remember the music so well, you know, the guitar, that sound of Hendrix's guitar on Band of Gypsies album, you know.
Oh, man.
I mean, I just couldn't think of anything else. And you know, it's like he was so into Muddy Waters and that kind of thing, that the real where the blues kind of started, you know.
Yeah.
It's like he had brought it. He played the way he played, but it had an air of real, you know, genuine blues to it.
Yeah.
So I mean, so I kind of always, I can always dig when somebody plays like that, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's see, boy, we got a lot of material here.
Yeah.
Let me see. I forgot to ask you what kind of picks and strings you use.
Oh, let's see. Everything. I don't, and it wasn't by design, really. It just kind of happened not to. Everything is stainless steel on my guitar. Everything from the Floyd to the strings to the pick. You know, I don't know. I guess the other would be nickel, right?
Yeah. What gauges do you tend to gravitate towards?
Tens. Tens and 11. I actually like 11s, but I can't keep any calluses on my fingers with 11.
10 to 46?
10 to 40. 10 to 46, yeah.
What kind?
Ernie Ball.
Do you do anything special, like change them every night or stretch them a certain way?
Last year I was changing because I liked using the same guitar so much that I had during one song I would switch guitars and my guitar technician would change the top three strings, the D, the A, and the E.
Oh, yeah?
He would change those all together, stretch them out for me again, give them back, because the metal pick wears away at the mainly the D string, but it after a while the string won't vibrate in tune.
Do you tend to break a lot of strings?
Don't break too many of them. I just wear them down too much, like the A a little bit and the D the most. I would probably use 9s if they would last longer with the pick, but it gets down to like 3, 4 songs, especially if I happen to be a little bit uptight and I'm playing a little harder.
Yeah.
Then the strings just don't last long at all.
Do you break many strings?
No, they just like it's. If you could see one, it's like the bottom of the string is fine, and then there's just this like little valley.
Oh,
where the string just gets worn away by the pick.
Right. You just
if I used a plastic pick, it would wear the pick away, but the steel string don't. The steel pick doesn't wear away at all. It just takes everything out of the string.
Huh.
Yeah. Hang on one second.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I think we're pretty much done, Warren. Is there anything else you want to cover?
Well, no, not unless you do.
Not offhand. If you have anything you want to add, though, or if you think of something, feel free to call me in the next couple of weeks and we can get it in.
Okay.
Because your road manager has the number.
All right. Same thing with you. If when you're going through it, if there's anything if you didn't remember to ask me, you can call me anytime.
Great. I really appreciate this. I'm looking forward to writing it.
Great.
Yeah. We've had a lot of letters from kids who want stories about you.
Good. Oh, that's good news.
Yeah. I may need a little bit more time with Robin. There were a few things I forgot to ask him about.
Yeah. So you guys are mainly doing studio shots for the covers now, huh?
No, we're leaning towards live.
Oh, good. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
I like a live shot on the cover of that magazine.
We just think that's the most appropriate for you, anyways. And
I just the Guitar Player magazine, just a live shot in there has there's something. Always the printing is kind of almost like it's like it is in Japan,
Right.
It's just more. It's just the pictures look so nice on the covers.
Yeah, we're going to go to a new printer with your issue. We're going to the people who do Cosmopolitan, Glamour, GQ.
Wow.
So it should be real top of the line.
Yeah.
Great. Well,
now, was there any, you're in, where did you say?
San Jose.
San Jose?
Yeah, if there's ever anything I can do for you, Warren, if you want to get in touch with somebody, like if you're in New York and you want to talk to Johnny Winter or something.
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty good friends with him.
Yeah?
Yeah, and different guys, so. Okay, hey, Warren, thanks a million, man.
Oh, thank you, Jazz.
Take care.
All right, take care.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.
This concludes my interview with Warren. During the ensuing years, he continued to work on and off with Ratt, which underwent many personnel changes and legal disputes. He also toured with Whitesnake and recorded his own album, Crazy Enough to Sing for You. I hope you've enjoyed this interview and that you'll check out the Robin Crosby interview as well. Before signing off, I want to thank my buddy Nik Hunt, who co-produced the podcast for me, the Southern Folklife Collection at the University of North Carolina, and I'd like you to check out my online Talking Guitar magazine for more podcasts and lots of articles and transcriptions of interviews. Take care and hope to see you next time.